Behind me, two of the landmarks of Sydney, Australia, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the famous Opera House.
Sydney is easily recognized by its two world-famous symbols. One is the 80-year-old Harbour Bridge. The other is the nearby Opera House. It has 5 auditoriums that host 1,500 performances yearly. The sail-shaped roof is composed of 1 million tiles. Construction began in 1959 on faith, before anyone had figured out how to engineer the architect's distinctive design. On the other side of the iconic bridge is Darling Harbour. Once a rundown area, Darling Harbour is one of the city's crown jewels. It is a center of entertainment and shopping. It hosts conventions and sightseers. And if you're lucky, you might hear the Royal Australian Navy Jazz Band play. Darling Harbour offers a safe inlet for fishing boats that ply the ocean. And when those fishing boats return from sea, they bring their catch to the Sydney Fish Market. The market is the second largest in the world after Japan. The centerpiece of the fish market is the daily auction. No photography is allowed on the auction floor. What you're seeing here are the retailers at the market preparing fish for sale to consumers. The fish, just a few hours old, fill blue crates on the auction floor, which is about half the size of an American football field. All kinds of fish are here: salmon, live crabs, barramundi, prawn, eel, and dozens of exotic varieties. Each day's auction begins at 5:30 in the morning. About 100 buyers, mostly wholesalers, sit on amphitheater benches with electronic controls and watch 3 large screens before placing bids. The fish end up in grocery stores and restaurants. On this day, yellowfin tuna was selling for about $3,000 each. At that price, the carver better wield his knife carefully. When Sydneysiders aren't working, they head to the beach. 2 of the most famous ocean beaches are Bondi and Manly. Surfing is especially popular at Manly. Bondi Beach is where surf lifesaving clubs got their start, and is the subject of a popular Australian reality show, Bondi Rescue. Just south of Bondi Beach is a gorgeous walking path that hugs the ocean for a couple of miles. May 18th, the Sydney Morning Herald newspaper held its annual half marathon in this fitness-focused city. 3 of the 10,000 runners were ours.
We just ran the Sydney Herald half marathon and did pretty well. Started in the blue group. I was a little bit nervous because I was so close to the front, but found some people who were running at my pace and just tried to stay with them. It was long, but it was beautiful. Got to see Sydney in a different way, watch the sunrise over the harbor.
It was tough. I was in the sub 165 minutes group, the yellow group, and it was a great experience. The last bit was hard, but I pushed through it. I had people cheering me on. I'm wearing my American flag shorts to encourage me to keep going and run for my country. And
I ran this in 2007, much smaller. I can remember finishing somewhere down by the wharf, and it was very quiet. There wasn't many crowd. This year it's really big. Finishing in Hyde Park. It was a great run, good sun, and real busy out there today. It was crowded all day, a lot of people.
In addition to celebrating fit Homo sapiens, Sydney offers an up-close look at other members of the animal kingdom. Its kid-friendly aquarium is typical for the genre and specializes in aquatic life found nearby, such as sharks, an octopus,
hello, Mr. Dugong.
and a rare captive dugong, a cousin of the Florida manatee. It also offers a replica of a coral reef we would see later on the Great Barrier Reef. Another glimpse into the animal kingdom came at the Taronga Zoo, a ferry ride away from downtown Sydney. With its cages, the zoo is a bit old-fashioned, but it offers a nice assortment of Australian species, such as the koala attending to its full-time job of munching eucalyptus leaves. And no Australian zoo would be complete without kangaroos and wallabies. But the best place to see kangaroos and wallabies came at the Featherdale Wildlife Park, about an hour bus ride away from downtown Sydney. The privately owned park offers an up-close and personal look at these tame animals, as our students discovered.
We are at Featherdale Wildlife Park, and it's open with wallabies, and we can feed them and pet them, and they run around while we're looking at the other animals. It's a very different zoo. We were able to take a picture and pet the back of a koala, and while we were doing it, wallabies would just walk up right by us. And around, there's birds that can roam around. There's kookaburras out of their cage too, moving around. So it's an open zoo, open wildlife park.
Petting a kangaroo, living life.
I've got a kangaroo, looks like a baby kangaroo. Bought a little ice cream cone with some food for her. And I'm feeding her, she's very nice and soft.
Another look at Australian animals came when we traveled about 90 minutes from Sydney to the Tobruk Sheep Station. Sheep have been important to the continent since the first fleet arrived from England in 1788. Today, Australia is the world's largest wool producer. Sheep ranches are well suited for the Australian outback, the vast arid center of the nation. Although the Tobruk Station is in the fertile coastal region, it seeks to replicate an outback experience for the tourists. An outback breakfast consists of billy tea and damper. The tea is brewed in a billy can, which is a cooking pot. Damper is a type of soda bread that Australian ranch hands prize because it is made without yeast and therefore can last for several days. But before the Tobruk staff would let us sample billy tea and damper, we first had to learn how to say good morning in Australian.
We'll do that again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. G'day, mate. That'll do. Let's go and eat.
Sheep spend their day grazing in a field or paddock. The herds are rotated among paddocks, a task that requires a good working dog, especially on large ranches in the outback. The working dogs used at Tobruk take 4 years to train and trace their origins to the dingo.
They have a herding nature, as do the dogs they bought from England originally. So put them together. They become, first off, an animal that can live in our heat. They become an animal that can cover long, long distances in a day quite easily. But they are an integral part of our wool industry. If we had, some of our paddocks, for example, might be 10 or 12,000 acres. If you had to physically cover that on a horse or a motorbike, it would take a lot of men to do that. Wages, of course, have gone up to such a degree that that's cost prohibitive, so the dogs do the majority of the work. So they herd the stock and bring them back to us, and we keep them in a mob and move them off to where they've got to go.
Once the dogs have moved the sheep into a pen, they're ready for their annual shearing. Sheep shearing is a delicate task that still requires a human touch. That's especially true for the dominant variety in Australia, the merino.
They've tried robots. The problem is that our sheep in Australia, the merinos, are very angular. They have all sorts of big hip bones and big necks and things, and they've yet to devise a robot that can handle the difference in the shape with the different breeds. Under very dense wool, especially up on the neck here, your hand is actually, and the machine is underneath the wool, and you can't see the skin, so you've got to sort of feel your way up. Something that takes most shearers about 2 years to learn how to do properly. So 200 years on, we're still doing things the same as we used to.
By day, Sydney is a beautiful city. At night, it absolutely sparkles. We were fortunate to see the city when the evening sky glows the brightest each year for Vivid Sydney. Vivid Sydney is an 18-day celebration in which light becomes art. Multi-hued lighting turned the already glamorous central business district into an optical showcase. Sprinkled throughout the downtown area were light sculptures that invited festival goers to become part of the scene. Buildings along Circular Quay were bathed in visual displays that seemed to make the structures come alive. Even a cruise ship docked for the weekend served as a screen for a virtual painting. At Darling Harbour, a laser light show choreographed with music was displayed against a backdrop of dancing water fountains. The magnum opus was at the Opera House. The distinctive roof reflected a beguiling light show created by Spinifex, a world-renowned company based in Sydney. Lit by high-powered lasers from across the harbor, the Opera House was vivacious. The program's closing song, aptly named Alive, was created by the Sydney group Empire of the Sun. It served as an unofficial anthem for Vivid Sydney and encapsulated our visit to this wonderful place. After 3 wonderful weeks in Sydney, we flew 3 hours north to a more subdued, tropical city of about 150,000 people. Cairns, at Australia's northeast edge, is famous for its ecotourism. Just about any outdoor activity imaginable is here, such as skydiving, whitewater rapids, zip lining, waterfall slides, and bungee jumping. One of the primary attractions is the tropical rainforest that begins just a couple of miles away. The Daintree Rainforest is the oldest on the planet. If dinosaurs were to suddenly reappear, they'd feel at home here.
Most of what you see from the cabway today and from your hotel room where you'll be staying will always be here, so that is good. This rainforest is protected. For a lot of reasons, it's a special place for the Aborigines who lived here for thousands of years. Also, you're probably aware a lot of the world's pharmaceutical medicines come from rainforest plants, so there's a lot of discoveries that haven't been made yet. And many of these plants too in this rainforest are found nowhere else. So.
After the Skyrail gondola brought us to the tiny tourist village of Kuranda, a few of us left the shops behind and explored the rainforest on foot.
We've come up to the rainforest from Cairns today. We've actually gone up to a little village from the end of the Skyrail, and we've got 3 hours today to kind of hang out and look around. And there's really not many people out here today besides us. It's just actually really, really beautiful and quiet.
From the rainforest, we returned to Cairns via the Kuranda Scenic Railway. When the rail line opened in 1891 to serve miners, it was an engineering marvel, with 37 bridges and 15 tunnels carved by hand. Now a tourist train, the 23-mile line offers a nice view of gorges and waterfalls. Even more majestic than the rainforest is the Great Barrier Reef, a living structure so massive it is visible from space. The Great Barrier Reef is actually a series of nearly 3,000 smaller reefs. Coral need access to sunlight and thus are found in shallow water. So all you need is a snorkel to see coral of all shapes and colors and an aquarium-like collection of tropical fish and wildlife. One of the benefits of studying abroad is getting to know some of the best and the brightest at the University of Florida. The students bring a lot of energy. Director Mike Weigold likes to channel that energy each year in the student games. This year, the games were held during our week in Cairns. Students were randomly assigned to teams marked by different colored t-shirts designed by faculty member Dr. Joanna Cleary. The Gator competitive spirit was evident as the students vied to claim first place for their teams. On our last night in Cairns, we had a group dinner at the city's famous Ochre restaurant. Owner and chef Craig Squire has created a distinctive cuisine of Australian bush foods. He had us taste spices preferred by the Aboriginal peoples, such as wattle seed and quandong. He also served us a taste of Australia, including emu pate, kangaroo, and crocodile.
We've been a family for 4 weeks. Our journey together will be coming to an end very soon, which saddens me, but we'll always have this experience together to remember for the rest of our lives. Thank you for being such a wonderful group of people. I really enjoyed spending this time with you.
you.